Look, this is a troubling verse, and it was one of the verses I used to argue, in fact, for the separation of the so-called soul, immortal soul, from the body a long time ago. Now, whenever we get a difficult verse that seems to say something contrary to what the rest of the scriptural witness is, we need to understand that one apparent exception does not cancel out the overwhelming evidence, the overwhelming general rule on the other side. Now, Jesus himself, of course, working from the Old Testament prophets and his Jewish heritage, certainly understood that the dead are in the grave unconscious, as we've already been reminded. In fact, it's interesting that the explanation of death at the very beginning in Genesis tells us that unlike the modern church, death is a return, not a separation. In death, we are told man returns to the dust. His spirit, or the life force, we are told his breath does return to God. In other words, God takes from the man the life force, the consciousness that makes man the man. The combination between body and the breath of God makes the living soul. Not an immortal soul, but a living soul. The background to Matthew 10:28 must be seen, I believe, in the big context of the life in this present evil age, which relates to our present mortal bodies, and the life of the promised age to come, the kingdom of God, the messianic age, whatever you want to term it. Now, certainly in this present existence that we have in our mortal bodies, which are subject to decay and to death and to mortality, we do dissolve. And as Anthony's reminded us, we are able to be martyred or killed, or we can by accident be killed ourselves. And that's the end of this mortal existence, this side of the resurrection, or the parousia, the coming of Christ. In the age to come, God, as we've been reminded very briefly, is going to resurrect and raise us up, those of us who belong to Christ and believe in him, unto the life of the age to come. Now, so when Jesus here talks about those who can kill the body, he's simply saying, once they end our mortal life here on this earth, in this present age, their jurisdiction over us is finished, but God's has not. And if a person dies unrepentant and unforgiven, and as we would say in a popular way, unsaved, God is still going to raise them up to judgment. And there, at the end of the judgment, at the end of that time, they will be perishing or will be destroyed, body and soul. The complete and entire person is going to perish. Not just the body, but the entire person. So Jesus is simply saying here, look, they may kill the body in this present life, but they have no control over your God-given destiny as a disciple of Christ. You will come to life again, and God will vindicate you in the new age to come. Just as an aside, it's interesting to note that this phrase, body and soul, was also a very commonly known Jewish expression. In fact, it does already occur in the Old Testament. For example, if you turn to Isaiah and chapter 10 and verse 18, where God is speaking about destroying disobedient people, he says he will destroy, in a metaphorical reference, the glory of his forest and of his fruitful garden, both soul and body. In other words, in the new age to come, this destruction will last forever, and there is no coming back. And certainly I know Josephus also mentioned that his soldiers fought body and soul to defend the city of Jopapata. And so again, Josephus is using what was in common parlance within Jewish understanding, an expression to say they gave their lives for this age and for the next in the defense of their homeland. And that's all Jesus is saying, and it does not destroy the whole witness of the entire Old Testament and New Testament scriptures that speak of a person this side of the grave who dies. Does not necessarily end their future resurrection unto life eternal.